And here we are again. This time, yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but I have noticed that when you create a new profile and you switch to actually load the new profile, then it just stops the recording of your video for some reason or another. Now we are in our truck and we are in our first transport. Now we can go into the options menu and put up the music. Let's start with that. Music we're going to put off. That's the first thing that we do. Audio settings, other than that, yeah, I'm gonna put that music down. Radio volume I'm gonna put pretty low as well. There is a radio channel in such a way that you can go to an internet radio, and then there are a bunch of channels available, even yeah, for every country of you, I think, and you can select one of those if you want some in-game music. That goes through. Of course, then you need an internet connection because it does this internet radio. You can also load your own music into the game, stuff like that if you want. But yeah, as being active on YouTube, I don't have anything with music because the only thing that it gives me is right clicks. Sound effect volume I'm gonna put lower as well. That is when you hit stuff or whatever. That doesn't need to be that low, and master volume at 90%. Because yeah, that is we're still doing the creation of the RMD Trucking career, but we have to go through a bunch of settings first before we can actually start driving that thing. The backup beeper is fine. Graphic settings, as to whatever it is that you want it. I have everything on Ultra. I have GTX 1070, more than capable of running this game. Everything on high and Ultra as it is, and I put the scale on a 200%. You can put it on 400% if you want. All up to you. Whatever your system can handle, I guess. Now we go to the more, yeah, let's say interesting features for us, as is the gameplay and keys and button category, where a bunch of things that you need to select. Gameplay, we'll go over them one by one. Knowing the game, I will see where we come into a situation. The fatigue simulation, obviously this is Euro Truck, the single player. That means that, for instance, if you go to multiplayer, there is no real time going, so you don't have fatigue simulation to deal with there. The fatigue simulation, if you put that thing off, then you sort of never get tired, and then you don't have to take rest stops and stuff like that. But I try to play it as much as simulation as I can, so I put it on. The same goes for traffic offenses. If you don't want to get speed offenses and that, but yeah, that makes it not really realistic. It is a simulator after all, so I put that thing on. The preferred job length, do you prefer to have shorter trips? Then you put it on more to the left. Do you want to have longer trips? You put it more to the right. I just let it be where it is. The route advisor, which is sort of the GPS card in such a way that you have a little bit of GPS, yeah, it's like a little map on the right side of your screen if you want. Also there you can play with the config and change the X and Y scale if you're familiar with that, and then you can put that on the top right of your screen if you want to. But most of the trucks, as soon as they are upgraded quite a bit, they come into some exclusive design thing, and most of them have an in-game GPS as it is, or in the dashboard, I mean. But the lower end trucks, when you first start the game, when you first start your profile, most of them do not have a GPS on the dashboard. Then you probably gonna have to use that route advisor. Sometimes the screen, like in the new MAN for instance, the GPS screen is not that big, so yeah, it's better to use the route advisor in that case. Show the truck limit, it says, yeah, that's what we want. We're driving in a truck after all. There is no, you can select some other stuff. You can either hide the limit, or you can show the car limit. Not advisable if you're driving a truck, but yeah, it is there as an option. The route advisor speed warning, that is something that we're going to put off. That is in case you are speeding, that route advisor thing will sort of lit up a little bit in red, your speed, meaning that you're going too fast. But yeah, I just put it off, don't need it. The automatic parking dialog, I'm gonna put that thing off. I don't need that. That is like every time you arrive on a company, it's gonna give you some sort of dialogue to go through, telling you that, hey, you can park here. Where do you want it? That trailer, or you can just skip the parking, that kind of stuff. I don't need that. We're gonna park ourselves, and we know where we want to park it. So let's have a look. They have a cargo, that's fine. Map alignment north locked, that's fine. These are default settings, so we're just gonna go over them quickly. Show the navigation always. You can put it always or only when you're on a job, or also if you're in free roam, or I just put it on always. That's navigation mode is what do we have here? Best, shortest or small routes. I just put it on best. Parking difficulty, here we already have it. You can skip the parking, or you can do safe parking or skilled parking. Safe parking, it's gonna give you less XP, so you level up not so fast. The skilled parking is gonna give you the most XP in, and it's also the most interesting one to park the truck. Of course, the beginning it will be a bit of trying out and failure thing, but eventually you will get it going, and I will just go for skill parking. The random road events. This is an important slider in such a way that if we're in single player, we're just going to put it all the way to the right. All the random events happening on the map we want to know about, that are traffic accidents and stuff like that. Now, if you go play to the multiplayer, it's a completely different story. Then you want to have that random road event all the way to the left. Although there is no traffic in the multiplayer, the single player recognizes that there is traffic and all that kind of stuff, but the multiplayer doesn't. So, but if there's an accident, you will have fire brigades there and people standing there and so on. In the multiplayer, you will see those people standing there, and the road event will actually happen there, but you don't see the trucks. So you're driving there, and before you know it, you crash into one of those invisible trucks from the fire brigade or whatever, or you see what's happening and you can evade it in time. But there is like another player driving behind you, but he doesn't see that event, and he's gonna think like, what the hell is he doing, and he's gonna crash into you and that kind of stuff. So if you play in the Truckers MP multiplayer, move this bar all the way to the left. If you're playing single player, just put it where you want to. I just put it all the way to the right. You like rain or not, that kind of stuff, that can be arranged here. I do not want rain, so I put it all the way to the left. Then you will never ever have rain, which also means you don't really need to map the wipers, for instance. The time zones are disabled. Show cutscenes. No, we don't want any cutscenes. The transmission type, seeing I play on keyboard with simple automatic, is just fine. If you have other problems here, let's see, real automatic, sequential 8 shifter, that's more for wheel drivers and so. The braking intensity, I usually put that pretty high at 90% or something, otherwise this thing does not brake, especially with a keyboard. I can assume that if you play with a wheel and pedals, that you have to play around with these settings to actually make it work. And then we have the trainer stability is as high as it can be. Now in update 1.35 we're gonna have 3 sliders here for the stability, one for the truck, one for the trailer, and one for the suspension, so that you can change these settings in whatever it is that you want them to be. At this moment in time, this is not 1.35 yet, so I just put the trailer stability just like it be. Advanced trailer coupling, if you do not have this selected, like it is here now, then you just have to drive underneath a trailer and it will automatically pick it up. If you have a advanced trailer coupling, as we will check here, then you have to drive pretty spot on underneath the trailer to pick it up. You basically have to put the pin of the trailer into the thing of your truck there to make it perfectly match before you can actually connect the trailer. So yeah, in the beginning, if you're not familiar with it, you can put this off, and once you get the hang of it, you can put it on. That's also a possibility. Treble cables, let's have a look. You see none first player. First you see the player trailers. What is this all? First player trailer, player trailers, player. Just gonna put everything available. Player and traffic trailers. Then you see the cables of those different trucks. Let's see. The truck speed limiter. Yeah, we'll just leave that on for now. Automatic retarder. We're gonna put on. Automatic engine brake. No, not using that much. Automatic engine and electricity start. We're gonna put that on. What is that? Sort of like that's the turning of the key when you start up the truck. You could first level, let's say, of half a key turn that will put on the electricity, and then you turn it again to start up the engine. If you do not have this selected, then you have to map 2 buttons for it. So I'm gonna put this on and just start the truck with like 1 button, and it will automatically start the electricity and start the engine. So automatic parking brake engage, that is if you do a job, your truck will always be automatically with the handbrake on. I have not gonna put that one on, don't want that stuff. Automatic drop of the liftable axles, no, I'm gonna put that off as well, because we're gonna map these axles, and in case we need them, we will lift our own axles if needed. Realistic fuel consumption, it's not advisable if you play automatic on a keyboard, or you're probably gonna end up driving to a lot of gas stations. The cruise control grid step, that means if you set your cruise control and let's say you want to put it on 75, but yeah, it's a bit of gambling. You first have to drive a certain speed and then you press the cruise control. Yeah, then it might be like 66 or 67, and then you can skip a few. You can increase or decrease it with this thing here, and I'm gonna put it on 1 kilometers an hour. I don't want like steps of 2 or 5 immediately. Just 1 is fine. The smart cruise control, I'm going to put the tolerance at 0 kilometers an hour. That is, for instance, if you go, you set your cruise control, let's say at 70 kilometers an hour, and you go downhill. If you put this thing on a tolerance of 5 kilometers an hour, the cruise control will not actually start braking by helping with the retarder until it's 75. So I want this thing on, especially with the eye on speed offenses, and so you want to have the tolerance at 0. Don't allow any tolerance, or you come into trouble with police and speed cameras and that kind of stuff. Especially when you're in the beginning building up your company, all those kind of stuff, man, that's like the economical side of the game. Let's see, automatic blinker turn off, that's fine. Cabin accessory physics, we're gonna put off. If you have stuff in your cabin hanging, let's say a disco ball or a Rocket League ball is out there, I think that you can put in there, or some sort of dices that you can hang in your truck, that kind of stuff. If you make a turn, that thing is like swinging from left to right and front to back. If you have this thing checked, if you have it unchecked, then it stays stable, and then it's sort of like a permanent fixed thing. We will see if it's. I think if you put it off, it will stay stable. If not, then we have to change it the other way around. You can put the steering on the camera rotation. We are not going to use that. We have physical camera movement. Yes, we have that checked, and we're going to put that a little bit higher. You can also link the camera to your steering. If you steer left, your camera will also look left, that kind of stuff. Then you need to put the steering camera rotation on and play around with that slider. But we are not using that. We're going by physical movement of the camera. We move the camera ourselves. And then we have some regional settings from language, the region you're in, that kind of stuff. Localized city and country names, that will put the names in the language that you have set your thing here, in this case English. For instance, you have Cologne in England, or you have Venice in Italy, or that kind, or Florence in Italy. If you put this thing off, then it will not say Venice, but it will say Venezia. It will not say Florence, but it will say Firenze. and it will not say Cologne, but it will say Köln. So it will put it in the local language as it is on the map. So we just put that off and put it out. Of course, yeah, in those Russian parts, yeah, that's like Cyrillic letters and stuff. Yeah, it's a bit harder to read, but we'll figure it out once we get there. And other than that, it's length units and weight units and that kind of stuff. I live in Europe, so it's kilometers and tons and Celsius and liters and that kind of stuff. You can put it on miles and gallons and Fahrenheit and that all that kind of stuff if you're more familiar with the USA or English measurements and units and all that kind of thing. That more or less covers it for the gameplay, I think. We will see once the game going what we do with that. Might have to come back here and change a few things, but we will see. I'm gonna skip the keys and buttons for now. We'll quickly go into the controls. For a keyboard, that's pretty simple. You have the steering non-linearity, either all the way to the left or you put it all the way to the right. I think it's all the way to the right for the keyboard. I'm not 100% sure. The steering sensitivity, yeah, that's something we have to find out. I'm gonna put it somewhere here, I think. If it's not steering enough, you put it a bit higher and so on. We will see. Other than that, yeah, the rest has to do with force feedback and such. That is if you have a wheel, obviously. Axis for joysticks and stuff, if you use that. That's all things that you need to change here. Not so much any of this is any meaning for keyboard. So same for the H shifter. You can split, you can put splitters on it, you can map your clutch, that kind of stuff. All not needed. We drive an automatic with a keyboard, so we do not need that. Other than that, the cursor speed, yeah, that's fine. We can move the cursor pretty slow. You can put it like, if you put it there, then this thing moves a little bit slower, as you can see. But I rather like it a bit moving. Other than that, not so much changes here for now. In update 1.35, it will have an eye tracking device linked to the Tobii Gaming website, and there you can find Eye Tracker 4C, which is basically a magnetic strip that you can put on your desktop, and it will detect whatever it is that your eyes are doing, and that will be connected to the game if you configure it with some free software that you can get from to go with it. And then yeah, it's pretty much simple. If your eyes go to the left, your camera will go to the left. If your eyes go to the right, your camera will go to the right in game. That's sort of, yeah, more realistic view. You can link it to your eyes. You can link it also to the movement of your head or both or something like that. We'll figure it out maybe one day or another once if we ever have that. That's not available here now, but that will come soon in 1.35. There will be that eye tracking device option here. Online, let's have a look. You see the online news when you come online. You can see the online news and then an image spotlight. Yeah, that's sort of background flashing with images from the community. You can put that up if you want, and then you just have like a stable thing in the background going, which brings us to the keys and the button. The first thing I'm gonna do is to avoid double mapping, and so I'm gonna unassign these secondary things. I don't need secondary, I just need primary options. So these first 6 I'm immediately going to unassign for secondary. And then we have to go over this and see what's going on. The throttle, you can map it. I'm playing on an AZERTY keyboard. And so for me the throttle is going to be Z. If you play on a QWERTY, that would mean the W. The brake is S. Steering left is on the arrow left, that's fine. Steering right is on the arrow right, that's also fine. Although I play on the shift automatic, I'm still gonna have to shift occasionally when it's a bit too low RPM. For instance, on a bridge or something, you can always downshift yourself. That's why you need to map these things. Let's see, I'm gonna put it on the right shift and this one on the right control. Shift to neutral, shift up hint, shift down hint. We're not gonna map the gearbox switch either. Start, stop the engine. I'm gonna put that on motor, on the M of motor. There we go. In update 1.35, I saw they also have engine electricity mapped separately. What you do now here is if you have separated the electricity and the engine, which you could do with unchecking the engine electricity in the gameplay options, we have it unchecked now. So that means that, or we have it checked. That means that the electricity and the engine will start with one button. If you don't have that mapped at this moment in time, then you have to press that button 2 times. In this case, that would be the M2 times. But I see that they have now split it up into 2 keys in 1.35, I saw in the beta. So then you probably have to map 2 buttons. So I advise you to just check automatic electricity and start engine in the gameplay. That is just makes then you can go with 1 button here. The parking brake, which basically is the handbrake, so I'm gonna put that on H. The engine brake, let's see, if S is my normal brake, I'm gonna put the engine brake on D, although we don't use it that much. That also means that I'm not gonna map the increase and decrease for the engine brake. I don't need that. The trailer brake I'm going to map, and the retarder I'm also going to map, but I need to think about it. 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna put it on 7 and 8. Retarder increase 7, the decrease 8. We have unchecked on the automatic drop of the axles. We have unchecked that in gameplay, so that also means that we need to map these axles. This is the truck axle. I'm going to put that on the Q for a QWERTY keyboard. For me that means A. The trailer axle I'm going to put on the A for my keyboard. That means Q. And the differential lock I'm going to put on the Z, which on my keyboard is the W. That's for the differential lock. Let's see, the left turn, we're gonna map that on the arrow up, and the right turn on the arrow down. Those are also the keys that we use for steering, left and right. So up and down to indicate would be close to that steering. This is very good then. The hazard warning, those are basically your parking lights, I think. So yeah, we're gonna put that on P. Light mode is fine. High beam we're gonna put on O. The beacon on a B. The horn, that is the truck itself. The horn, we can't use the H because we have that already for handbrake, so we're gonna go for X, I guess. And the air horn, C. The air horn is if you put a light bar on top of the truck, you can put some beacons on there, some spots, some extra lights, or you can also put all kind of horns on top of the roof, and that's the air horn. So those are like different buttons compared to the normal truck horn. The light horn basically means like signaling somebody that they can turn off or something, flashing your high beams in such a way. That's J, that's fine, we'll just leave it at that. The wipers, yeah, I will just map it on a button. Although we put the rain probability at almost 0, we're not very often going to see rain, or at least we should not. Cruise control, we're going to map that for sure. One of the most important things in the game. Something you use especially on the highway very often. That also means we need to increase. We're going to put on 4, the decrease on 5, and the resume on 6. So are the numbers of my normal keyboards. I do have a numpad, of course, but I will use those for all the different cameras later on. So what is this here? The display mode, that is fine. We will just keep that on I and then put the map mode on U. That has to do with the dashboard. The display mode is more or less your board computer, and the map mode is in case you have GPS in the truck itself. And then you can sort of different zooms. You have close by, a bit further away, or over, so you can play around with that. And the display mode has to do with your cruise control, or how many miles you can still go, or your fuel consumption, all kind of stuff that you can find on the board computer. But you need to change the board computer. That's the display mode, more or less. These HUD things. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with those too much. Let's have a look. That all seems to be fine. The only thing I'm gonna change is, already changed it automatically, I see, is the route advisor for the next page. I'm gonna put that on num0, that's fine. And then we have these assistant actions. I have no idea what you're doing, but what I do know is I'm going to unassign those things, because I need that 1, 2, 3 for one of the cameras, as you will see later. Which brings us to the camera controls. There are a bunch of cameras in this game, going from interior, chase cam, wheel cam, yeah, a bunch of them. So we're gonna have to remap all of those, and that's where my numpad comes into play. I will put it there. Most used is the interior camera, so I'm going to put that on the 1. What you also need is for parking the lean out camera. I'm gonna put that on 2, and the top down camera on 3. The chasing camera will be 4, then the roof camera 5, bumper cam is 6, 7 for the wheel cam, 8 for the drive by. The next camera, I'm not going to use that button. That can just, no, I need to remap that, because I need that 9 later on, I think. We already used 7 and 8 for the retarder. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 is going to be cameras as well. 4, 5, 6 I use for the cruise control. So that next camera thing, I need to remove that here from the 9, and I need to put it on something else. I will just put it on a button which I don't think I'm going to use, not even recognized. Okay, let's try this one then. Okay, there we go. That's a button that we're never going to use. Next camera, because we use the operating cameras separately anyway. Let's have a look. Zoom interior cam is going to put on the 9, in case we want to zoom in. Look left I'm going to put on my delete key, and look right on the end key. And now we come to the interior look left. We're going to put that on 1, the look right on 2, and the look middle on 3. That is, yeah, you can, for instance, on a traffic light, you can yeah, you can look to the left with your mouse very quickly, very slowly it's going to go, or you can immediately turn your head 90 degrees to the left, and that more or less is what that interior look left does. So if I press 1, it will immediately make me look 90 degrees left. If I press 2, it will take me 90 degrees right, and then the look up middle I have on 3. Basically put your head straight again and look forward. The steering based camera we are not using. The blinker based camera we are also not using. Activate, that's fine. Trailer, attach and detach the trailer, we just do with the T of trailer. Activate anything in the game. If you need fuel or something, you need to activate anything. That is just with an enter key. A quick save. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, I'm just gonna put it on A, and quick load on the comma on my keyboard, which will be M for if you have a QWERTY keyboard. That's to quickly save and or load a certain gameplay. So if you're playing for like 2 hours, yeah, it might be advisable to, although the game saves itself, but if you want to be sure at a certain point, for instance, especially when you just have designed the truck or something like that, yeah, and it's not automatically saving, the game automatically saves, like, I don't know, every 10 or every 5 minutes, or I don't know, or every 30 seconds, I don't know, it automatically saves everything. But if you want to be sure that it quickly saves everything that you have at that moment in time, when you, for instance, just finished the design or so, yeah, then you can always use these quick save or quick load buttons. The audio player, that's where we're gonna put the 9. That's why I had to change that. That is if you want to put the radio on, if you're not streaming, or yeah, streaming is not so much a problem. The problem might be if you put the radio on YouTube. That's gonna be an issue with all kind of claims for all these songs that have been playing on that radio. It is internet radio after all. So the next favorite I'm gonna put on 0 then, and then volume we will put on the keys next to that. There we go. That works fine. Then we have the world map. That's K. So the only key that I have left, I think. And then the garage is J. Now we more or less yeah, we more or less mapped our whole keyboard just to be able to play this game. And then we can go back to the game. All the mapping is done. Other than that, we have all kind of stuff going on here, but yeah, as you can see, they gave us 2,000 euros to start with. We have one garage, but we don't have any trucks. We just have the garage that they gave us. I have selected, I don't know if that was visible in the video because with that loading thing when we started this up, I have selected Luxembourg. The reason I've selected Luxembourg is that in Western Europe, that's also why I have a Luxembourg license plate here now, the fuel is the cheapest in Luxembourg, in the Western Europe side. So anywhere in Western Europe you want to select your headquarters, I would advise you go for Luxembourg. Especially in the beginning of the game, once you have your own truck, you need to pay for your own fuel, and so it's kind of important that you keep the fuel as cheap as possible. Once you have a few trucks running and you hire some drivers and such, yeah, then you do not have to worry about this. Because yeah, on my main driver, I think I have like somewhere about 160 million now. There are people out there who have a few billion in game, so yeah. But the beginning is quite hard. You need to have some trucks running before you actually get some decent money coming into play. And other than that, yeah, there's not much we can do because there are a lot of stuff that are linked to the profile and the profile progression and the leveling up, engines, gearboxes, even certain features within the game are linked with every time you level up, something will unlock and it will go to. Level 36 is eventually the one that we want to reach because as you can see here we have also skills, and skills that means perks, different perks available which gives you more experience, which gives you more money, which gives you more different jobs available and that kind of stuff. So and if you have level 36, then you have all of these perks filled in as you will see later on. And that's sort of is it. Went through where you can get the game, where you will be able to connect your World of Trucks profile, where you find the multiplayer, Truckers MP, and so on. And then we started up our own profile. That is more or less what we have done here. And that means everything is mapped, everything is done and done with, which means we can basically drive and have a look on this all. Now all of these keys and buttons, yeah, that's something you need to get acquainted with, of course, especially in this game, because yeah, there are so many different buttons and stuff to use that you might have to think about it for a while, or maybe even write them down on a piece of paper till you get acquainted with it. Now this is obviously not our own truck. We are now more or less driving as a hired driver. They put you in a truck and you drive for another company and you just get paid as a driver. This is not our truck. This is not our company. So we just have to drive, deliver the job, and you get paid for the job, which of course means not that much money. If you drive for yourself with your own truck for your own company, you make more money. Of course, also brings into the thing that yeah, once you are running your own truck, you also need to pay for the repair yourself. You need to pay for toll booths yourself. You need to pay for the fuel yourself. That kind of stuff is now paid by your boss in a way. You're driving for another company. Anything else? Yeah, well, we have all these F keys, which are HUD controls that are mapped in the gameplay, and key and button sections that we have just all been mapping. Yeah, you can, if you press the F3, that more or less puts away that GPS thing. If you press it once, it comes back like this. If you press it again, you only see the map more or less. F5 is to bring up the map. You have like, this is the more closest BI, and then you have a bit further away. Then you see like the whole city, and then you see more or less the whole area. Those are like the 4 different positions that you can change on that map with F5. F6 gives you a job description. We are carrying 22 pallets of empty pallets to the destination, which is in Luxembourg. And I already saw it on the map earlier. It basically is on the other side of the road. The LKW company, which is on the other side of the road. So this is going to be This tutorial thing is going to be a very short trip. It's expected somewhere between Monday 8:20 and Monday 3 p.m. At the moment it's 10 a.m. in the morning, so that is where this game always starts, on Monday 10 a.m. And as you can see, the time goes on. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I think that like every 15 seconds in real life this thing goes up 1 minute, sort of like that. It's like 4 or 5 times faster than real life, more or less. It's gonna give us 360 euros, and that is kind of the stuff that it tells us here. If you press F7, it gives you a damage control thing, truck, trailer, and goods. It's at 0%. That's how you want it. You do not want to have that at 100%. That means that you're probably missed a corner or something and crashed into something, and you have serious damage. If you have that happening during a job, yeah, you're gonna have to pay for that all. Not advisable. FA is for messages. There are no messages. That's sort of what the F keys are doing. F1 is the pause menu. You can always pause the game if you want and then come back. And then that is leaves us with F2 and F4. F2 are these extra mirrors that they put here on the left, on the right. You can put them only on the right side, only on the left side. You can put both of them up, or you could put none up. It's up like you want. That right mirror view here, that can be changed by changing, because it's sort of a copy of your right mirror of your own truck. It can be changed by changing the camera itself on the mirror itself. We will have a look in that in a second. So and that leaves us with F4. F4, you have front and roof auxiliaries. That is, if you put some extra stuff on there with like extra lights and such, you obviously also want them to work. You need to check these things. You always have to do this every time you upgrade your truck or so. If not, once it's selected, it will always be the case. If you press F4 again, you come to the mirror adjustment, which we are going to skip by pressing F4 again. We will come back to these mirrors, but we're first going to put the seating positions. When we are seated properly, then we're going to change the mirrors. Makes a bit more sense. Now we can put this, let's have a look, 80 degrees or so. That's the field of view that we're first going to change. Let's put it on 82 or more or less. Yeah, that will do fine. Maybe one click closer with the seat. That seems to be okay. We'll put the seat a bit higher as well. You can put it as high as you want, but yeah, that's a bit too high. And if you put it as low as you, yeah, then you're like more like in a car view. You're driving in a truck after all, so you're sitting a bit higher as it is. So we're also going to put it more or less like that. And then you can also change your head a bit, head position up and down, or left and right. It's all possible. Or you can just move your whole body a bit more to the right if you want. All possible. And then you adjust your steering wheel by either making it come up or fall down a bit, and then also pull it up or push it down a bit as well. Something like this will do, I think. Let's have a look. That seems to be a good position. And now we can have a look on the camera, on the mirrors. This first mirror, yeah, I see way too much of my truck and my trailer, so I'm going to put that more to the left. In such a way that I still see like a little bit of the trailer. That's more than enough. And then this dead mirror thing here, which is the small left, we're going to put as low as I can get it. There we go. And then we go as much left as we can go. And the reason I put it there is that yeah, if there's on the highway or so, there's a truck driving next to you, it doesn't matter that much. If there is like a car driving next to you, you do not see, sometimes you don't see it in the big mirror because it's like out of your reach. It's like sort of the dead angle camera. That's more or less what that small thing is down there. You also have one on the right, but yeah, we're not going to use that much anyway, that right thing. See, I'm not driving with eye tracking or with a wheel. I very often are going to use on an intersection or so, I'm going to use that look left, look right thing, where you immediately look 90 degrees left or right. that helps better. Now we're going to adjust this camera here because that one does matter, because depending on what you put it there is also that f2 camera mirror thing that shows up will also the side one is this one. I'm just gonna put that a bit lower so that we can actually see what's going on. The front one is something that I never ever use. Once we have our own truck, that will be the first thing that I remove. You can remove that one if you want. That I'm gonna put up so I can actually see in front of the thing if it actually, but you don't see it anyway, not from the field of view that I'm using. And that will be it. That's a whole long tutorial and mapping buttons and stuff like that, but yeah, you can just say, okay, I'm gonna make a profile, and you can skip all of this, and then you get a bunch of cameras, positions and stuff like that. And it also means you're gonna get a bunch of comments in the, oh, how do you map this, how do you do this, how do you do that. That's why I went through this just like any new player, and I recorded it all, like what does it do, what does this function do, and how do I map it. And that's why I went through it. And now we can actually start driving, which is a very short drive. Put on the lights and start the engine. It's one time I have to press it now because I have mapped it in such a way that the electricity in the engine itself starts itself. The lights though, you still have to press 2 times. First, or more or less the parking lights, that goes on. Secondly, if you put everything off, then you sort of have like some daylight automatic lights going on. You have parking lights going on, and you have the normal lights. And then you can also put on the high beams if you want. If you have some extra roofs on the roof lights or front lights, but yeah, that is all for later once we have unlocked all those things. Now we cannot put that on, we don't have anything. Especially since it's not our truck anyway. Other than that, handbrake we have put off. If you, I think by default it's on, so that means that the handbrake is actually on. That means that you need to put it up first, obviously, otherwise the thing will not drive. And then you just go on throttle, it will automatically do the gears for you if you drive in simply automatic. Then it's a matter of driving and steering. Now, as you can see in the MAN, it doesn't really, it's like a pretty low GPS thing there, you know. You don't really see what is going on unless you zoom in, but yeah, you can't drive like this. So what we're gonna do is with the display mode thing and with the map mode thing, we're gonna use our U key. We have mapped it to U, and we're gonna press it a few times till we have no screen. What we're then gonna do is press F3 to bring up this map thing, and then sort of try to find, this is too close, so we're gonna put it on like the second level of zoom in, and we're gonna put that map on there. For the thing itself here, yeah, you can put it on what you want. It is now on speed and cruise control setting. For the display mode, we map the IT for that. You can change that to fuel consumption. We can do 2,354 kilometers with the 1159 liters that we have in the tank. This is what we are consuming, more or less, and the water and the oil temperature. I just put it on whatever it is that we have in the tank. Now this camera, you see, is quickly looking right and left. That works the best for me. Those are the cameras that I use, and that is like interior look left and interior look right, and you immediately see what's going on, and then you press my interior cam to go it back to here. And as I said, a pretty short trip because it was only across the road. That usually has also to do with the fact that we're in Luxembourg. Now, if you're new to this thing, yeah, you're gonna have like some sort of symbol that you can drive into here, and then you can skip the parking, or you can do some safe parking. Safe parking, it's probably gonna have to put it somewhere next to that fence there or so. That's like a pretty easy parking job. Or you can do skilled parking and then it will mark the thing somewhere. As you can see there, on the right there, if I remove that camera, you have that white circle thing going on there in combination with a rectangle. And yeah, that more or less is where the truck needs to be. And that is the skilled parking. So it's only a matter of putting it there, which is easier said than done, obviously. Just drive to it and then drive away from it a bit. That usually helps with a bit of an angle so that you can actually see what is going on. Now here's where your camera positions come into play. You can of course try to park this thing like this and then you don't really see what's going. But here what very much helps, especially if you put it in an angle like this, is the lean out camera. If you put that thing on, that is what you see. And then it's about a bit of steering. That is also something you need to get acquainted with, like, yeah. Now, there we go. We sort of parked it. The trailer is fine. It gives us the green light. That means that you can put on the handbrake and press T to detach this trailer. Or if you want to have this like perfectly lined, you can drive a bit forward again and line it out. But the trailer is fine, so we can detach it and just drive away and the trailer will be spot on. There we go. We have driven 1 kilometer and took us 32 minutes. Mainly because we were explaining all kind of stuff and we didn't drive the first time. 32 minutes in game, that is. But yeah, because it's such a short job, it was only 1 kilometer, we only get 1 XP. So you more or less get 1 XP for every kilometer, unless later on we will get some bonuses once we have some skill points, but we do not have those yet. Seeing it is such a short trip, it also does not fill up the bar here to be getting a skill point or to reach level 1. We need a bit of a more trip. We need at least let's have a look, 159 kilometers on the next trip to get this bar filled up. And that sort of is the beginning of RMD Trucking. It was a bit of a 2-part video because the video jumped off after the first part there. But that is like the start of our career. We have done all the mapping of the keys and the buttons and whatever not, and we also have done the tutorial race. From this moment on, there's not much else that we can do as a hired driver, till we get some mails in from the bank that we can loan some money. Then we go loan some money and we can buy our own truck, and from that moment on we can basically do whatever it is that we want, because from that moment on we can also drive around in free roam once you have your own truck. And then we can pick jobs from the job market, or we can just drive to a company and see what they are offering and just pick one of those. From that moment on, you decide what you do and how you do it. At this moment in time, there's not much else that you can do than click on job market and click on quick job and see what they have available. And then you see all these kind of different stuff. We don't have any skill perks. That also means that we are limited to 250 kilometers. There will be no trips available to choose from. So it's giving us like, what is it, 3 pages of, well, 2 basically, because on the last page is only 1 transport. So it gives us 11 different transports starting from Luxembourg, because that's also the only city that we have discovered so far. And it only gives jobs from the cities that you have discovered. So you pick up one of these jobs and you're gonna deliver there, but that will be for the next one of the next videos for RMD Trucking. I will see you guys then, and for now, happy trucking and see you later. Bye bye.